Weiß Bescheid.
Boom, boom, boom. We're live, everybody. Hey, welcome to Red TV in Conversation. I'm Peter Clark, and hey, thank you for being here. I super appreciate you being here. If you're here for the first time, thank you for tuning in and showing up. I can imagine why. I look over here who we have coming up. If you're here and you're returning to watch us, you already know what you're in for. So I so appreciate that. I really appreciate you being here. We have a lot of fun here all the time. The whole purpose of Red TV, amplifying good voices in the world, people positive that are doing great things in the world. Lift all the boats. Look at that guy over there. Look at that good-looking guy over there. Hey, we're going to have an unbelievable day. I'm so blessed to have this person. I'm so excited. You know, I'm always excited when I have amazing guests. But this person, I've been following this person for such a long time. I'll date myself, so I don't want to do that. He's already made fun of my hair, so I don't want to talk about that. And just again, the depth of this person and his body of work and what he's done and how he's affected so many people around the world. It's just a blessing to have him here today. So thanks for tuning in, watching that. Thanks for being here. Here's the only plug. Listen, for this show right here, let's get this message out there more. Like and share with your network. Share with everybody. My guest today, Neale Donald Walsch. I mean, listen, when anyone comes in contact with that person and learns more about what he's all about, it makes the world better. So please like and share what we're doing here today. Let's get to the introduction. This is going to take a while, but I'm going to do my best to go through this. It's unbelievable. This guy, Neale Donald Walsch. I don't know. It's funny, actually. I'm going to mention this to him. Well, he's probably listening right now. Is that I've only met one person who has never heard of him. One. So I was flabbergasted. The person said, "I never heard of that guy." I was like, "You got to be kidding me." Listen to this. Written 39 books on contemporary spirituality and its practical application in everyday life, including Conversations with God series, a 9-book series. You probably heard about Conversations with God. It's actually turned into a movie. So if you've not known that, it's an actual movie. His work has included 7 New York Times bestsellers, and his titles have been translated into 37 languages. His latest book is The God Solution, published in December 2020, which invites humanity to embrace a new global ethic based on a refined and clarified definition of God. We're going to touch on that today. Yes, we are. He presents online retreats and lectures for people around the world with different programs. Hey, listen, he's a co-founder. How about this? He's a co-founder of Humanity's Team. It's #1 nonprofit in transformational education, comprised of people who are seriously passionate about oneness and global consciousness. We're going to talk about an event that's coming up that he's part of, and as well, we're going to touch on that. Hey, in the world of film, he's in film. This guy has credits as a writer, actor, producer, has appeared in 19, I think, if I counted them correctly, 19 international documentaries and television series. His life is a movie in itself. He was a broadcaster for 25 years. Did you know that? Worked for the State Department at one time. Severely broke his neck in a serious accident. Lived on the streets, being homeless and alone for a year, living day to day, meal to meal. This guy has lived. He's been there, and with all that, he still has an incredible sense of humor and a smile that only his dentist should be proud of. His dentist is working on this guy. He's doing a great job. I'll tell you. Listen, I can't stand this anymore. I got to tell you, I'm so excited. Mr. Neale Donald Walsch, how are you?
Hi, it's nice to see you, Peter. Thank you for that
introduction. It's very sweet of you to say those things. It's nice
Oh,
to be here with you.
it's so nice to be you. I was trying to, it's so hard for me to tone myself down when I'm excited. So I'm going to try to match you as much as I can. I know you're a rascal anyway, so it's okay. And listen, everybody, I don't use that term lightly because one of his dear friends calls him that. Actually, I'm going to start with that with you, Neale, right now. Watch this. I just want you to show you something. I was doing all my research on you, and I saw this beautiful soul speaking to you and mention this. I want to ask you this question here.
First of all, let me just say something about Neale and I bumped into each other over the years at conferences, seminars, programs, and we've always had a liking of each other. It's probably more than a liking, it's like really a coherence around these fundamental ideas and principles.
I love
practices.
I'm in love with you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to give it a name.
Yeah, love is a good name. It's a good word. And I love this gentleman, this guy, and he's also a rascal. I love that because I'm a rascal as well. And
okay, so what makes someone a spiritual leader, author, a thought leader, so on? What makes you a rascal? Why are you such a rascal?
Give me 1 second before we go on. I just got a call here at the last minute. Yeah, God, I've asked you to call me when I'm not in the middle of a program. Yeah, but sweetheart, I'm doing a show with Peter Clark. No, yeah, the Peter Clark, the guy. All right, I'll tell him. Okay, bye.
Was that really her?
Apparently, your standing with God isn't as good as I thought it was.
Hey, listen, that's not a shocking statement.
But she said to tell you you'd better treat me well, or you're going to that place that you have been trying to avoid most of your life.
Hey, listen, not shocked by that information at all. But by the way, little does she know, I was going to treat you well anyway. I mean, that's all. That's
not what I heard from people who know you, but thank you.
So there's the rascal in you. There's the rascal in you. I love that when Michael said that about you. I think that's just I think that's the kindest compliment you can get from a friend, is to know that you're good friends and you can be light with each other. I know you guys talk about some serious stuff, but anyway, I want to show that he's
nice pal. He's a wonderful guy.
Yeah, I know you guys work together a lot and do different things. So thank you for all the things that you guys have done together. One thing he said, you said it. I thought it was very interesting. You said, I love you. You said to Michael there, and you said, I just want to give it a name. I just thought that was a fascinating statement, that you just, I want to give it a name, whatever that is. When you refer to that, are you referring to this sensation of love, of joy, of being with somebody? What were you referring to when you said, I want to give it a name?
The feeling that I have for him, the energy that I experience moving through me toward him, the sense of, my deepest experience in relationship to him. I call it love. It's another word for oneness. I really feel connected with Michael at a level of oneness. I feel like I am he and he is me. And so I have that sense of oneness with him, and I call it love.
I love that. Yeah, that's fantastic. Is it rare for you, that feeling you're talking about, or do you find that you can, no?
No, it's not rare in the sense of being experienced with only one or two other people. I experience it with many other people because I've opened myself to it. I allow myself to experience that with many other people. Not with you, but with many other people.
Not yet.
Not yet. It's too early in our relationship. But you better treat me well. Then we'll decide at the end of the program.
I get it.
But no, honestly, to be serious for just a moment, I try to allow that energy to flow through me, from me, to the people that are meaningful, and I hope that everyone at some level is meaningful to me. So what life has taught me to do, Peter, is to ask really in a sincere way, what does this person mean to me? And what can I mean to this person? When I was a young man, I used to hear a statement that was very common. It was kind of flying around when I was in my 20s or 30s. And the statement was, nobody passes through your life without a gift for you in their hand. And I was really aware of that idea in my life. And then God said to me in my conversation with God experience, Neale, you got it backward. It's reversed. I said, really? What do you mean? And God said, Neale, it goes like this. No one passes through your life without you having a gift for them in your hand, which is completely the opposite of the way I heard it for so many years. And that changed my life, Peter, from that time on, for the years that have taken place, that's 27 years ago. Whenever someone passes through my life, I look to see what is the gift that I have for them in my hand. And this is not just close friends or members of my family or even acquaintances. And these are total strangers. You know, the lady at the coffee shop, the guy behind the counter at the post office, the policeman who just gave me a parking ticket, whoever it might be that's passing through my life. If I had a gift for them in my hand right now, what would it be? And then I see if I can allow myself to give that gift in fullness and free of any expectation of receiving anything in return. That whole process that I just described to you is what I call love.
Wow, that's just that's beautiful. I so relate to what you just said. You just turned that sentence around, or that the meaning of that of you being the gift, and finding out. It makes complete sense to me when I listen to you talk, especially on Clubhouse. I listen to you often. Everybody, if you don't follow Neale, he's on Clubhouse every Wednesday, so please find him on Clubhouse. You have conversations with people, which is fantastic. But you always start off like that. You just said it. How can I be of service to you? I love that about you. When I hear you, every time you introduce you, or sorry, you're introduced, you simply humbly say thank you for having me, and then instantly go to how can I be of service to you. Was that something that you even, was that all the way back when you were 19 as a broadcaster? Was that all the way back when you were even on the street when you were? Were you always in tune with this idea that I must be of service, or did that happen after the conversations with God?
Well, the idea that I must be of service is not one that I'm even in tune with today.
Oh.
I take the word must out of every sentence in my life. There are no musts, there are no shoulds. Never should on yourself. So I've been very clear that there's not something that I must do. But if you rephrase the question, is it something that I choose to do? That's happened since my conversations with God experience. I wasn't choosing to do it, automatically or consciously in the first 50 years of my life. But after I had my experience of conversations with God, and I was given the opportunity to notice, in fact, that no one crosses your path here without a gift for you in their hand is wrong. How it works is no one crosses your path without you having a gift for them in your hand. When I heard that, it struck a tone, it struck a chord. I resonated with it deeply. And from that time on, actually, I've tried to keep that in mind when I encounter any other human being on the earth, either in person or even at a distance, just from noticing them, like, political candidates or leaders of nations or people that I hear about. No one comes to my awareness without me having a gift for them in my hand. And that's changed my whole life. So I've only found myself choosing to be in service to everyone whose life I touch since I had my conversations with God experience. But I have to be real clear, because I don't want people to think that I'm this magnanimous, totally giving person. It's a very selfish act. It's really important for people to hear me say that. I experience being in service to another as a very selfish act. That is, I do it for myself. And I candidly admit it. I don't try to pretend. I tell people right out, when I do my workshops, my retreats, online or in person, when I give a speech someplace, when I work with people individually, when I do whatever it is I'm doing, I say to my audiences, I know it might look to you like I'm here for you, but actually I'm not. I'm very clear that I'm in service to you in order to serve myself. That being in service to you causes me to feel a certain way about myself, about life, about my whole raison d'etre, my whole reason for being here on the planet. And it makes me feel so good about life itself and about me and, of course, about you, that I can experience life in a totally different way than I did experience it for the first half century that I was here. So all service is self-service. That's been my understanding, and that's my awareness. And there's another reason why all service is self-service. Not only because I feel really good about myself and my reason for being here and about life, but because I'm also clear that there's nobody else but me here. That is, in the largest sense, we are all one. There's only one of us here. We look and act and behave differently, but in the end, it turns out that we are simply, if I could use a metaphor, fingers on the same hand. They look different, they function differently, they act differently, but they're all fingers on the same hand. And so we are all fingers, if you please, on the hand of God. That's my understanding. I could be wrong about all of that, but since I've chosen to live that way, my life has been a joy.
Amazing.
Constant joy.
Yeah, I see it. I can hear it. I feel it. I feel that conversation that you're having. And speaking of that, so we're referencing this, everybody. And it's interesting, Neale. Like I said, I met one person, only one, in my travels. But Conversations with God is this. I just want to. We're going to talk about your most recent book as well, The God Solution. But let's just touch on this one again, just for everybody who again might not have heard about this. I mean, again, I don't expect everybody, but we're referencing Conversations with God. The first book came out, I think, in '95. It's a 9-book series right at this point in time. And basically, if I'm not mistaken, if we talk about what the book, I guess, was at that, or is, what the series is all about, it's basically about this idea that you channeled, if you will, this process of these transcripts of messages or conversations with God. And this, I'm saying this for the audience right now to get some perspective here. So, and you also suggested a new definition of God.
I'm going to interrupt you, Peter, if I might.
Sure, please.
I don't want people to think that I imagine that I'm channeling God. I've never used the word channeling in my own description of what I do, because I don't channel God. That is, I don't feel that God is embodying me. Most people think of channeling as a process by which some exterior entity comes into somebody's body and starts to speak through them. That's not even close to the experience that I'm having. So we're going to take the word channeling off and erase it. Now, nor did I even begin by writing a book. It turned into a book, but that wasn't what happened. Let me just briefly explain, if I can, to your audience.
Please do. Please do.
I was moving through a very challenging period of time in my life when everything that could go wrong was going wrong. And I mean everything. My relationship with my significant other had ended, and that was the end of a marriage. At the same time, 5 days later, I lost my job. Not because I wasn't performing well, but the company that I was working for was cash strapped. They were in a cash crisis, and I was the last hired. I had no seniority. Last in, first out. So they told me with great regret that they had to lay me off. They had to let me go because they had to save some overhead. So now within the same 5 days, I'm losing my relationship, and 5 days later, I'm losing my life. But wait a minute. Life wasn't through with me yet. I got the triple whammy, because 4 days after that, while I'm in the car searching for a job, I'm going to a job interview. An elderly gentleman turned his car, made a left turn in front of me. He misjudged the distance between his car and mine. He misjudged my speed. I was a very slow driver. I was really dawdling along 25 miles an hour, but somehow or another, he misjudged the distance between us. And he crashed right into me, turned right into me, making a left turn. And of course, I was driving this way. He makes a left turn, so he hits me in the driver's side of my car.
Wow.
I didn't even have a car between us. I was right there at the wheel, and he crashed right into the driver's side of my car. I suffered a broken neck in the impact of that accident. This is 4 days after losing my job, 9 days after losing my relationship. And they take me to the hospital, of course. And I'll never forget the report that came back from the x-ray. They said I had suffered a 3/4 inch, not a hairline fracture of my neck. I suffered a 3/4 inch avulsion fracture of the 7th cervical vertebrae posteriorly. Folks, that's a break big enough in your neck to put a pencil through.
Wow.
And the doctor said to me when I woke up from the healing procedure, they put a brace on and so forth. They said, the doctor said to me, you do understand that most people who suffer a broken neck, especially one as severe as this, die instantly because of spinal cord complications. Not only did you not die, you're not even paralyzed. You can actually move from the neck down. So, Mr. Walsh, what do you intend to do with the rest of your life?
Wow.
Because you've been given a once-in-a-lifetime gift. Of course, I didn't see it as a gift. I saw it as, are you kidding me? First the relationship, then the job, now this?
Right.
So I'm wearing a Philadelphia collar, what's known in the business as a Philadelphia collar. It's a plastic collar that holds your head up. Because the doctor said, imagine a bowling ball on the head of a pin. That there's nothing holding your head up. So you may not take this collar off. It's a therapeutic device that supports your head until your neck completely heals. That'll be about 1 year to 18 months. So you wear this collar wherever you go, sleeping, showering, whatever you do, do not take the collar off. All right. So I wound up losing my apartment. I had moved to a little apartment when the marriage was over. I couldn't keep the apartment because I had no income. So they asked me, they ejected me from the apartment. They removed me, and so I was on the street, nowhere to live, and I had no money. I had no income. I had run through my savings, and I had no income. Now I'm walking the streets, sleeping on the ground, sleeping on the pavement, on the concrete. No place to even go to the bathroom. It's pretty upsetting when you don't even have the ability to take care of your biological needs. You have to sneak into a restaurant and hope no one sees you going into the men's room. And sometimes they do see you, and the manager will tell you, no, sorry, no straight people, no street people. And you look terrible. You haven't had a shower. You have the shower. Are you kidding me? There's no place to clean up. I had one shirt, 2 pair of pants, a pair of shoes. And that was the sum total of my earthly possessions. So I'm walking from person to person, Peter, with my hand out. Could you spare anything, anything? And some people would say, oh, go get a job. Some people would be generous. They'd reach into their pocket and give you some spare change. And every so often, a person would actually give you, God, imagine it, some folding money, a 1 or a 5. And then you could eat that day. If you were lucky, you could eat. But I woke up every morning. And this went on for a year, not for a bad week or a bad month, or for a tough winter, but for an entire year of my life. It took me a year to get myself off the street. And during that year, I realized what it was like to have nothing, to wake up in the morning not knowing if you're going to eat that day.
Right.
And to have no way to get through your life except begging people for whatever help they can give you. Never, by the way, as an aside, please, never pass anybody on the street with one of those cardboard signs that says anything helps. And don't make a judgment. Oh, he'll just use it for... Don't make a judgment. Don't just keep whatever you've got, share it, for heaven's sake.
Right. I so relate to that, Neale. I just wanted to say that to you. I never do that. I must say that's so sensitive to me, as just me speaking out loud. I always stop, even if I say to them or something, whatever the situation is. I just want to say I saw you. I don't want to walk past you and pretend I didn't see you. I want to say I saw you, and I hope you're, whatever I can say. But I understand what you just said there. It so resonates with me. Keep going, sir. Keep going.
So at the end of the year, I found myself finally able to get a little part-time job somewhere. It really was a part-time weekend job, but it was enough to just bring in enough dollars. I could afford a little studio apartment on top of somebody's garage. Or in the back of somebody's yard. Actually, it was a little studio. They put some rich couple. It was a grandma apartment, and I took it. I could buy just enough food to survive. And I sat down one morning at 4:30 in the morning, and I wrote a very angry letter to God, because I was furious with life and furious with the God of my understanding. What is this? What's going on? What have I done to deserve a life of such endless struggle? And I remember writing on a yellow legal pad, tell me the rules. Just tell me, I'll play. I promise I will play the game. Just give me the rule book. And after you tell me the rules, don't change them. Because my experience is that all the rules of life are changing, including the rule that if you're nice to other people, they'll be nice to you. Turns out that that's not necessarily true.
Not always.
So, I wrote this angry letter to God, and I began hearing answers in my mind. I began having what I considered to be a very sacred, personal, private experience. And the answers were so profound that I wrote the answers down on this yellow legal pad. And then I began to ask other questions that arose when I heard the answers that I was given. Yeah, but what about this? What about that? What about this? And before I knew it, I was having an on-paper dialogue with deity, an on-paper, what I called conversation, with what I assumed to be the highest source of wisdom in the universe. Because the answers were answers that I had never dreamt of in my own life. And they directly contradicted most of what I had been taught and told as a child about life, about God, and about the whole game. But I never expected ever, Peter, that anyone would ever see these exchanges. They're all handwritten on a yellow legal pad.
Right.
It didn't occur to me that I would never show them to anybody. People would think I was crazy.
Right.
But I was told in the conversation, you will make of this one day a book, and it will be accessed by many people. And I thought, now I gotcha. Now I gotcha. Because frankly, that was the first thing that I was hearing, the first thing I was told, if you please, that was measurable. It was a measurable outcome. Everything else I was hearing was conceptual, theoretical in nature. Could be, could not be, who's to know? Who's to know? But now here is a statement of fact. You will make of this a book, and it will be accessed by many people. I thought, there's no chance. Not a chance in the world. Nobody's going to publish a book about a guy who says he's talking to God. It's not going to happen.
Right.
So in fact, I sent my handwritten notes to a publishing house.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest, as they say, is publishing history.
It sure is.
They actually published the material, turned it into a book that wound up selling, not bragging, just saying.
Just saying.
15 million copies. Not a million book bestseller, 15 million copies in 37 languages around the world. So when I was told it would be accessed by many people, she wasn't kidding. He meant exactly what he said.
That is phenomenal.
Now I was being asked by the publisher that bought the book, do you have any more sisters like that at home? And I said, well, I'm continuing my experience. They said, oh, please send us everything. Send us anything you've got. So I continued to send to the publishers my continuing, ongoing, handwritten. Now I went finally at what became book 3. I was doing it on a computer.
Right.
Because I could type much faster than I could handwrite. But the conversation continued for 9 books worth.
Wow.
And that's the story of my conversations with God. And people say to me, and then I'll end my little diatribe here, Peter, but thank you for giving me the time. People often say to me, oh, Neale, really, you want us to believe that you actually had a conversation with God? And I say to people, whoa, wait a minute. I'm not asking you to believe anything. I don't want you to believe anything. In fact, it says right in the dialogue, if you read the book, you'd see it.
Right.
It says 3 times in 3 of the different books, don't believe a word you find here. Move to your own experience. But if what you're reading here resonates with you and feels good to you, allow yourself to step into the living of it and see what impact, if any, it has on your life. So I don't expect or ask anyone to believe anything that I've written or said, but I do invite them to take a look at it if they're interested. And if it serves them to do so, embrace some of the information that they find there. And that's the story of my conversations with God.
That's amazing. Thank you for, I sit here and listen all day, my friend. Listen, thank you for sharing all of that. And again, you know, what I love about, there's so much of that I love, but I do want to reiterate this thing is that it's really, or correct me if I'm wrong. Again, I use another word. I don't want to use a word that you're not comfortable with, but it's truly an invitation for people to just witness your experience. And
well, not only to witness my experience. Excuse me, Peter. I'm going to be interrupting you apparently all day, but not just to witness my experience. What the book tells us is, what the dialogue says is, everyone is having a conversation with God all the time. It's not about Neale Donald Walsch. We are all experiencing what I call a conversation with God, but people might call it by another name: women's intuition, a sudden insight, a brilliant idea, a stroke of luck, an epiphany, you know, whatever you want to call it. You know, when you have those moments when clarity visits you and you receive an inspiration that you act on. So we're all having conversations with God all the time. We're simply calling them something else so we can get away with it.
Wow, I never, you know, I have heard that message, and again, I'm just speaking for myself here, and hopefully there's people in the audience that can recognize that. Is that, you know, I still struggle with that idea, and Neale. So we don't have to go into that. I'm just saying I struggle with the idea that that I'm connected the way that it seems like you are connected, and I hope I'm wrong, but I don't feel it the way it seems like it's just so innately built into you. It feels like it's built into you, and I struggle with that for me. So I'll just leave it there about me. That's enough about me. I do want to start talking about, though, your latest book, of course, is God's Solution. I want to make sure that people recognize that this is another really thought-provoking opportunity for people to dive into your thinking and some of the things that you're talking about. And of course, the book zooms in on or focuses on what's needed now for humanity is to agree on this idea of what God is. And I heard you recently in an interview. I can't remember what interview it was, and you used the number, and I think you're quite accurate with it. I mean, there's like 4,200 sort of religions in the world, where we all have our own sort of take on what this entity, this deity, whatever this is, this energy, this higher power is. And yet your idea is that we need to, you know, for us to make a change on this earth, we have to come together and figure out what that definition, if you will, or what that agreement is. Can you share, you know, just some ideas on how can we ever possibly think that we would get on the same page when there's that many sort of I guess, you know, beliefs, if you will, perspectives on what this higher power is? Where do we start with that? Where do we start?
Let me take a step back here, if I can. The book, The God Solution, just by the way, so everyone knows, it's not a dialogue book. It's not a dialogue between me and God. It's a narrative summary of what I was told in the 3,000 pages of the dialogues that I've already had. And here's what I was told. Humanity is facing right now a huge dilemma. And I call it the God dilemma. And the God dilemma is, people ask about it a lot, if there really is a God, and who knows if there is or if there isn't, but if there really is a higher power, why is the world such a mess? And why has it been such a mess for so long, for these thousands of years? It's never been easy going on this planet, and it certainly isn't easy going now. Things seem to be going from bad to worse. So what's the problem here? If there is a God, why does God allow these kinds of things to happen? That's the God dilemma. Why doesn't God just step in and stop all this nonsense?
Right.
And the answer that I've been given, because of course I asked the same question about my life and about the planet. And the answer that I got was, Neale, it's not God's job to dictate to people what is going to happen. If that was God's function, we would be nothing but minions, subjects, if you please, to a king who says, do what I say and everything will go well, disobey me and everything will not go well. But that's exactly what many religions use as their model of deity. They tell us that God is a loving deity. There is a higher power. There is a higher power, and the higher power loves us. But it also judges, condemns, and punishes us if we don't do what the higher power tells us that we are required to do. So we have this notion of God, that God is needy. God needs certain things to occur. He needs to be worshiped. He needs to be obeyed. He needs to have certain things happen and certain things not happen. But if we all obey the rules, then it will be okay. But then God does not see it as his job to fix everything on the planet. The solution is to understand who and what God really is, and to change our definition of God, to shift our notion of the higher power. By the way, this is not unimportant, because 8 out of 10 people believe that there is a higher power. Surveys have been taken around the world in all the cultures on the planet, and archaeologists and anthropologists, I should say anthropologists, have asked the question, do you believe in a higher power? And 8 out of 10 people say, yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know how it works. I don't know what it wants, but yes, I believe there's something more going on here than meets the eye. There is a higher power. But we can't agree on what the higher power is. And that's the solution. The God solution is to redefine God, not as a deity who judges, condemns, and punishes, a deity who needs stuff from us, but to redefine God as simply pure love. Now, Peter, when I give this talk in front of a live audience, somebody inevitably stands up in the back of the room and says, oh, Neale, come on. Help me out here. I've been listening to you for 20 minutes for you to tell me that God is love. Everybody knows that. Even the world's 8,000 people, 8 out of 10 people, I mean, even the world's 4,000 religions agree that God is love. Nobody, that's not the great revelation. And I have to say to them, wait a minute. I didn't say God is love. I said God is pure love. Now my friend in the back of the room will say, okay, what's the difference?
What is it?
The difference is that pure love needs, expects, demands nothing in return. And that's the difference between the love that we have experienced with each other and the love that we have been told comes to us from God, and the love that comes to us in fact from God, which is pure love, that needs nothing, asks for nothing, hopes for nothing, and demands nothing in return. We can't even love the person on the pillow next to us that way, much less all the other people of the world. And we can't imagine a God who loves us that way. But redefining God in this way would not only create a whole new theology, because of course it violates the theological construction of virtually all of those religions we just talked about, but it would not only create a brand new theology, but a brand new moral ethic, because humanity's current ethical standards are based on our understanding of how God treats us.
And we're seeing it as the way we experience it as humans, right? We're not, because we can't see it from that side. Is that what you mean by that?
What I mean by that is that since we have been told by the highest spiritual authorities on the planet that God loves us, but judges, condemns, and punishes us if we don't do what God needs and wants,
right,
then because we've used that as our model, we interact that way with each other. That's the moral ethic. You better do what I need you to do, or you better agree with me and not disobey me, or you will pay a price. And that's happening right now all over the planet. We've had armed conflict on this planet for 92% of recorded history. We can't even arrest somebody without putting a knee on their neck and suffocating them.
Yeah.
Even though they're calling out, I can't breathe. We kill them.
Yeah.
So, guys, because we behave with each other the way we imagine and have been told that God behaves with us. Now, if we accept a new definition of God as pure love, it will create a new moral ethic for humanity, a new political ethic, a new economic ethic, a new social ethic, and yes, a new spiritual ethic. And suddenly we will treat each other with pure love, which changes the major problem in the world today, which is alienation. Yeah. We are alienating each other because we're treating each other with judgment, condemnation, and punishment. We have presidential candidates who actually insult in the lowest possible terms their political opponents. They don't just disagree with their political opponents, they use insults of their political opponents and even of their political opponents' wives.
Right.
What is that? Where we go so low that we have to insult the wife of the opponent in our political arena? Right. And what's sad about that is that millions of people applaud it. Yay! Right. That'll teach them. Yeah, we'll just insult them. Right. And make them. What is happening to us as a culture? What has led us to call this leadership? We call that leadership. What's the matter with us? We can't even agree to disagree agreeably?
Yeah. Where do we start with that, Neale? Where do we start that with that? And I'll push it back to that where I asked you that, because I feel the same way. Look, everything you just said so resonate. I know that people are listening to this right now and go, yes, that is where we are. And therefore, you could, what I'm trying to say, I do understand how people fall into this sense of helplessness, if you will, or hopelessness about that, because you're absolutely right. At the highest level of leadership in the country's leadership, business leadership, religious leadership, it falls into some of those things that you just.
Yeah, I was taught as a child, just to make the point more profoundly, Peter, I was taught as a child by my religion that if people didn't share my particular religion, they were going to hell.
Right.
Even if they believed in God, even if they served their belief in God at the highest level, even if they were saintly and generous and kind and compassionate and forgiving and caring and loving, it didn't matter. They belonged to the wrong religion. So, if you don't belong to the right religion, it doesn't matter how you behave, you're still going to hell.
Wow.
I was told this.
Yes.
By my religion. No wonder we live in a world of alienation.
Right.
Now, the answer is for us to move through life in a way which demonstrates, which models the behavior that we have been invited to embrace. Even the particular gentleman who's been misquoted, dramatically misquoted throughout human history, put it simply. He didn't say insult your enemies.
Right.
He said love. Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you and bless those who would do you harm and be good to those who you find to be on the other side of any comment, discussion, or argument. And when a man slaps you on the right cheek, he said, turn and offer him your left. And when a man steals your coat, give him your shirt as well. And when a man demands that you walk 1 mile with him, go with him twain. Who was it that said this? Was he a con man? Was he lying to us about what works? Or was he suggesting a new way to be human? A way that we have completely abandoned, even when we say we adopted a religion in his name.
Right. Right.
We say we are practicing the religion named after him, but we're not going to love our enemies. We're going to insult our enemies. And we're going to alienate everyone who doesn't agree with us and make them so wrong, we can't even agree disagreeably without expressing the worst part of ourselves. Stop it. Stop it. So what I invite people to do is model the behavior we've been invited to model, not just by this particular gentleman, but by all the spiritual leaders throughout human history. Catherine of Genoa, Julian of Norwich, Buddha, Muhammad, bless his holy name, Moses, all of the great teachers, male and female through the centuries, have said the same thing. You are love. Express your true identity, even with those who you disagree with.
Geez, Neale, thank you for sharing. Again, I'm just sitting, I'm absorbing. I hope everybody in the audience is doing the same. There's so many comments coming in. Neale, I just want to let you know that because I didn't want to distract the conversation here. There's so many, and everybody that's putting conversations, starting the conversation and putting comments in there. Thank you so much. We're going to be looking at them later. We appreciate all of those things. Thank you for sharing that. I know your time is limited, so I'm going to keep moving. I don't mean to push aside anything. We're moving along here, and so there's some things that I just really wanted to talk. I personally wanted to ask you a couple of things that just so resonated with me, and I think you'll know where I'm going with this.
Ask away. Just go to the question.
I'll go right to the question. Here it is for me, because forgiveness is such a big subject for me, and I love this subject of it. I love the idea.
Forgive no one.
So the relationship between that and true love.
Forgive no one.
Forgive no one. Okay, share that. What does that mean?
Well, let me ask you a couple of questions in return. Peter, do you believe that there is a God?
Are we allowed to have this I'm going to have this conversation with you. I struggle with it, so my answer would be I don't think so, Neale. I don't.
Okay. So, most people on the planet, 80% of the people believe there is some kind of higher power.
There's
whatever you want to call it.
I don't know what it is. You're correct.
So, some kind of higher power. I ask people, do you believe in God? If they say yes, I say, do you believe God forgives you? Most people say yes. I say, you're wrong. See, God does not forgive you for anything. I was told understanding replaces forgiveness in the mind of the master. Forgiveness suggests that somehow two things are true. That somehow you can be injured. I don't mean your body or your mind. This is not who you are. This is not who you are. And this is not who you are. It's not who I am either. I'm a spiritual entity, simply having a body and a mind. But I am a spiritual entity. And that which I am cannot be hurt, damaged, injured, or angered in any way. Any more than that entity that some people call God can be hurt, injured, damaged in any way. If there is a God, who knows, maybe there isn't. But if there is a God, it certainly couldn't be angered by the likes of us. So, I mean, it's like, or injured or hurt by us so much that it would say to us, you're going to hell. You know
Right.
what I was told as a 9-year-old?
Mm.
In catechism class, I went to a Catholic school. The priest would come in every Wednesday and teach catechism. And he was teaching about mortal sin one week. And he said, you have to understand, children, that if you miss Mass on Sunday without a good excuse, if you go to play baseball or just decide this particular week you're not going to go to Mass, and if you get hit by a car on Monday, God forbid, and you should die, on Tuesday you'll be in hell. Because missing Mass is a mortal sin. I said missing church 1 week out of your life without a good excuse and without confessing it to a priest and getting absolution, you're going to go to hell for missing church. Talk about filling the pews with fear.
Wow.
So the point that I would be happy to make here is that we have to change our idea about who and what God is, which changes the whole moral undergirdment, as I said a moment ago, changes the whole moral infrastructure. But forgiveness is not how we do it. Don't forgive anybody because you can't be hurt. Understanding, write this on your bathroom mirror, folks. Understanding replaces forgiveness in the mind of the master. When you understand how a person could do what they're doing, the injury that they have experienced themselves as having, and what motivates and causes them to behave in the way they behave, when we understand how people could behave the way they're behaving, we suddenly don't agree with it, we don't condone it, we don't hope they repeat it, but we do understand it. And understanding replaces forgiveness in the mind of the master. Then we can let go of our need for revenge, of our need to get back. Right now, here's how we're getting back. Get this, people. All of you watching us, get this. Here's what we do on this planet, not just in the United States, but in many countries around the world. We kill people as a punishment for killing people. In other words, if somebody kills another person deliberately and we catch them at it, we put them to death. We kill people. The governments of the world kill people to teach people that killing people is not okay. And we fail to see the contradiction. Einstein, Albert Einstein, God bless his genius, made a very clear statement. You can't solve any problem using the energy that created it. You're not going to bring an end to killing by killing. By the way, incidentally, the murder rate in states that have the death penalty is no lower than it is in states that don't have the death penalty. You might be interested to know.
Right.
Because you can't solve any problem using the same energy that created it. You're not going to bring an end to anger with anger. You're not going to bring an end to violence with violence. You can't duplicate the energy and hope to make it disappear. You simply expand it and make it larger. So you know what, folks? Stop it. Stop it. Understanding replaces forgiveness in the mind of the master. Pope Francis, a few years ago, and I'm sorry, not Pope Francis, Pope John the 23rd. Pope John the 23rd was shot 6 times in a motorcade a few years ago. He has since passed on, but not because of that. He died of old age, actually. But he actually survived that incident. It's a matter of history. You can check it up in the history books. And you know what he did? It's also a matter of history. He went to the jail cell of his assailant, who was, of course, pounced on immediately and sent to jail for life. And he sat down with the man, and he said something very interesting to the man who shot him 6 times. He said, and he made a gesture while he was saying it. He said, "In nomine Patri, Filii, Spiritus Sancti." In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost, I bless you. He blessed his assailant.
Wow.
And then he said to the man, this is all, by the way, it's a matter of record. The press was all there. The media was sitting there watching this. And then he said to the man, I can't condone what you did. I can't agree with what you did. I hope no one ever repeats what you did, but can you at least help me understand why you would do such a thing? And the man said, I'd be happy to. I think that your religion has done more to damage my religion, my faith, and my understanding of God than any other single influence on the earth. Historically, your religion has denounced my religion and made it wrong. So I thought I would just, pay you back. And the Pope said, I hear your anger and I hear your sense of injury. And again, I don't condone what you did. I don't agree with what you did. I hope no one ever repeats it. But I can understand why you did what you did. That doesn't make it right.
Right.
But it makes it understandable. Now, the Pope and this guy became, get this is also a matter of history, pen pals. They wrote letters back and forth from the Vatican to the jail cell for years. And finally, the Pope asked the civil authorities in Rome to grant the man a full pardon, which they did after he served 7 years.
And as you mentioned, don't forget in that it was an understanding. Is that what you, right?
Bless your enemies and do good to those who would do you harm. But who was it that said that? Was he a con man? So, folks, forgive no one. Don't even forgive yourself. But understand how you and another could do something. And then, as you're ready to condemn another for what they're doing, what they're saying, how they're acting, remember this. Let those who are without sin among you cast the first stone. Just a thought.
Just a thought. Wow, Neale. Yeah, that's a super powerful. And I'm familiar a little bit with the historical story you just, it's not a story, it's actual facts of what you said there. Again, fascinating interpretation of this, of the idea of forgiveness. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. I want to be conscious of your time. Are you still good for a little bit of time with us here? Because
we have another 3 hours.
Yeah. See, that's the rascal coming out again. There's the rascal coming out again. I heard you. So I want to jump to another subject because we briefly spoke about this. We just met today, everybody. I mean, this is the first. I mean, I spoke to Neale once on his Clubhouse room, which he hosts again every Wednesday on that app. So check out Clubhouse every Wednesday. I think it's 12 Pacific. Does that sound right to you, Neale? I think
1 o'clock Pacific.
I'm sorry, everybody. 1 o'clock Pacific time on Clubhouse. And I heard you speak. I mean, I love listening to the answers. I love listening to how you respond to people with some of these questions. And I want to ask this one because we spoke briefly. You had that neck injury. You also mentioned that you had some heart issues and you had to have that dealt with as well. I had a heart issue, which kind of scared me.
Is there a question wrapped up in this?
There's a question, and it is in this idea of someone mentioned about this idea of dying. And they said, I feel like I'm dying. And your response was, are you okay with that? And I just wanted you to expand on that a little bit for the audience here about that idea. Because
one of the questioners asked me, how can I deal with my mother who keeps on saying she's 91 years old. And lately she's been saying, I feel like I'm dying. I feel like I'm dying. And yeah, I did say to her, if I was confronted with that same situation, I would simply respond to that person by saying, are you okay with that? And then I'd allow my response after that to be based on what they say to me in reply. If they say, no, I'm not okay with it. I don't want to die. I want to live longer. Then I would do what I could do, say what I could say, offer whatever emotional support I could offer to assist them in living longer, if it was possible for me to do so. If they said, yeah, I'm very okay with it. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to go. Then I would offer whatever emotional and physical support I could offer to assist them in not trying to hang on for me.
Mm.
I would say to them, don't hang on for me. If you want to let go, let go. Maybe it's time for you to go home. I wrote a book about this called Home with God. in a life that never ends, which people might find interesting to read.
Wow, fascinating. I appreciate that. I have that in my life as well about this question there. How about this one then? Neale, we'll jump to this one. Biggest problem. What is the biggest problem? What are we dealing with today?
The biggest problem in the world today is that people in power, nobody seems to know what the biggest problem in the world today is. They know the outcome. They can see the fallout. The fallout of the biggest problem is, in fact, alienation, which we talked about a moment ago. I've never seen alienation, Peter, at this level around the world in my entire life. Nation alienated from nation, race alienated from other races, people of different religions alienated from other religions, gays and straights, men and women, young and old, conservatives and liberals, political difference. If you have any difference at all from me, we are now alienating ourselves from each other at every level. But no one understands what's going on, what's causing all this alienation. It's really quite simple. I can put it in one word. Separation. We think we're separate from each other. We think that you're over there and I'm over here. And we think that because I'm over here and you're over there, we either have to come to an agreement about how we're going to be separate from each other, or if you don't do what I need you to do, as I said a minute ago, if you don't give me what I demand that you give me, you're going to be in big trouble. So we do have love relationships. Let's be fair. People do love each other. We have people who love each other on this planet. People are married and they love each other. But we have a misunderstanding of what love really is. We think love is like a trade deal, like nations have trade deals with other nations. So we have trade deals with people that we love. I'll give you what I have to give you. You give me what you have to give me. We'll trade each other. If we're fair, if it's a more or less equal sharing, then we'll stay together and we'll love each other. And on Valentine's Day, we can give each other the perfect Valentine's Day card. My dearest, my darling, my beloved, I trade you very much. And I'll never stop trading you. I will trade you until the end of time. But if you stop trading me, the deal is off. Because we got a trade deal here. That's what love is. I give to you and you give to me. But that's not how God loves us. And that's not the definition of pure love. Pure love says, I love you because of what I see over there. I love you because of who you are. And I don't love you to get something in return. And I love you even if I get nothing in return. Now, you know what? If you love a person that way, they'll never leave you. Because you'll be one in a million. I want to share with you something. It's going to sound like bragging. I'm going to trust your audience to know I'm not bragging, just trying to use an illustration.
Of course.
My wife came home to me one day about 2 years ago and said something to me that I never forgot. She had been out with her mom, having a day, a girl's day out, shopping and doing whatever they were doing. Anyway, she came back home around 4:30 or 5 o'clock. And I got up to greet her out of my chair. She said, no, sit down, sit down. So I sat back in my chair, and she came over to me and sat on the ottoman, on the stool in front of my chair. She held my face in her hands. And she reached out and she said to me, you are so safe. Wow. I said, gosh, honey, what a sweet thing to say to me. What brought that on? Where are you coming from? She said, I just realized when I walked in the door, I could come in here. I know I could come in here and tell you, I just crashed the car up. The car is a total mess. I totaled the car. Or I could come in here and just tell you, I just lost $25,000 on the stock market. I made a bet. I gambled all the way. I gambled away all our money. Or I could come in here and tell you anything virtually. And you would still love me. Because you don't love me because of what I can give you or what I fail to give you. You love me because of who I am. And you are so safe. So folks, if you want to know what it means to be in a true loving relationship, be safe.
Safe. Wow. That's powerful. I'd never heard that before, ever. I never heard it like that before. Wow.
I never did either until my wife said that to me 2 years ago, holding my face in her hands. You are so safe. Safe to come home to, no matter what news I had to bring you.
Wow. That is something. Jeez, Neale, thank you for sharing that. That is beautiful, beautiful. You were just talking before you said that about safe. This message with from your wife about that. You were talking about the world in the sense we just talked about what's the biggest problem, and we can't figure out what the biggest problem is. And like you said, we only have to look at the news every day, or just you only have to look outside your door sometimes to see. Let me ask you this question: in today's world, what's you're seeing out there? What keeps you hopeful and optimistic these days? What is it for you personally? What keeps you hopeful and optimistic?
Well, this is going to be an answer that's hard for people to hear. I'm willing to let nature take its course. I'm willing to let life proceed the way it's going to. I'm willing to do all that I possibly can as an individual to provide information, messages, and to model behavior that I think could help change the world. But I'm not so invested in the outcome that it's going to allow the world to rob me of my individual peace, serenity, inner happiness, joy, bliss, or love, or of my ability to love others. Yes, yes, even to love my enemies. I refuse to let the condition of the world rob me of that. So my answer is, I have hope for tomorrow because I don't have a need for tomorrow to show up in any particular or certain way. I've let go of my need for a particular outcome, but I've not let go of my desire to do all that I can to produce the outcome that brings me the greatest sense of joy. So, by the way, I make potato pancakes in exactly the same way. I'm good in the kitchen. I happen to be quite handy.
I didn't
in the
say
kitchen.
you weren't, but I'm trying to put the correlation between the world state and potato pancakes.
When you're cooking, if you have an investment in the outcome, get back from the stove.
Oh.
But if you don't have an investment in the outcome, guess what? It'll be what it is. And 9 times out of 10, even when it isn't exactly what you expected, the guests at your table will say, "My, this is good. Thanks for making this for us." Folks, life is really very simple. Stop making it so complicated. Do what Gandhi suggested. Gandhi put it in one sentence. Be the change you wish to see.
Yeah. Boom. And if those pancakes don't turn out okay, that's okay with you too. That's what
Because you can make more pancakes tomorrow.
Make more pancakes tomorrow. I love that, Neale. I love that. Listen, I'd be remiss if I didn't go in this direction right now to bring in a beautiful soul that you know very, very well, because the only reason I am connected to you and you agreed to this was to bring in this beautiful soul. You'll recognize this beautiful person. Jacqueline Way, how are you?
Surprise. I'm your birthday surprise today, Neale. And no, I'm not wearing my birthday suit. I'm sorry.
Well, you did last time. We just won't tell anyone about it.
We're not going to talk about it. See that? Jacqueline Way, thank you so much for coming on here, and thanks for connecting myself and Neale. I know you guys have a fantastic relationship. and it's been a joy to listen to you both on Clubhouse and so on. What's am I right with the term rascal? Is this guy really all that Michael says? Michael
You
Beck?
know, he's talking potato pancakes, but I actually can't wait to go over because supposedly he makes the best crepes on the planet. So that's really what I'm waiting for, is the crepe breakfast at Neale's house.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Neale, I want to ask you, I mean, you obviously you know so many people on this planet and they would love to join you in Clubhouse, yet you and Jacqueline seem to be having a wonderful time on that platform. What's that connection there that you have? What's that connection?
Well, we vibrate with the same frequency. We both love life. We're both willing to be open to the sweetness of what's going on here and of who each of us are. You see, what I love about Jacqueline is that she just expresses herself openly, honestly, caringly, forthrightly, and she doesn't have an investment in the outcome. That is, she will never lie to you in order to somehow save face or save herself. She's just who she is. And when I meet people like that, I'm theirs. She's got me in the palm of her hand.
That was my goal, Neale, just to have you in the palm of my hand. Just
That's
so
right.
And you've succeeded.
That's very cool. Jacqueline, I was hoping that you might be able to mention a couple of things that Neale never promotes himself, never talks about. I know he won't do that. So can you briefly, if you can, share a little bit about, and you're part of this, the Oneness a summit that's happening this weekend. Neale is part of it with Michael Beckwith. You're hosting something. I'll put up some information along the bottom. Please do tell what's going on with Neale and yourself this weekend.
Yeah, you bet. I know we only have a minute, but I wanted to share something with everybody really quickly. And I read Neale's very first book, Conversation with God, when I was 3, when I learned to read. When I read that book, and I had the privilege of sharing this with Neale the first time I met him on Clubhouse, what a profound impact that book had on my path in my own life. And I love, Neale, that you were talking about how we can show up every day as love for everyone that comes across our life. And I want you to know that book literally put me on my own path for doing that every day. And that's such a gift that you have given to the world, because I know people tell you all the time, but every time you touch one of our hearts, as you so generously do every day with conversations like this, it gives us the ability to go out into the world and continue to be love. And so you inspire me to do that every day. So not just to go out in action, but to actually be love for everyone around me and for the world. And I want to just thank you for that, because it's possible. And you set me on my path for that, you and the conversation you've shared with the world. So thank you, my friend. I wanted to share that moment with you because it enables me to do the work with 365 Give that I do every day. So thank you.
Gosh. Those are sweet words, very generous words. And my bucket list is this. I hope I can live up to those thoughts and those ideas. I hope one day that I can feel that I've actually stepped into the living of the person you're describing. But thank you. Thank you for those very nice and very generous ideas and thoughts and energies.
No,
And
you already have.
Speaking of energies and things I do now need to be leaving very quickly.
You do. So let's talk about Humanities, the summit, really quickly. So Humanities Team, your beautiful foundation that you have started with Steve Farrell. You have coming up, starting on Saturday, which I'm so excited about, the Global Oneness Summit. Can you just give us a brief overview of what your vision was for the summit and how over the next 8 days, starting on Saturday, it's going to truly make a difference in people's lives when you choose to join?
I hope that the summit will allow people to get in touch with themselves and their deeper awareness of who they are in relationship to the world. The summit is going to present a series of wonderful presentations from many of leaders, spiritual leaders, people from the world of science, from metaphysics, from spirituality, each bringing their own particular awareness and understanding to the moment. And in those many different presentations, you'll see on your screen right now, just a few of the wonderful speakers that will be presenting. And if you pick up some of those presentations, and you can watch all of them on replay, if you catch every one of them when they're being presented live, you can watch them on replay. It's a chance to really, pick up some new insights and some new ideas, some new levels of awareness, and some new points of view, or maybe even some ideas that resonate with points of view that you already hold, but that allow you to feel more unified and solid in what it is that you're thinking. So that's what the Global Oneness Summit is. It starts on Saturday. Check it out. I think you'll find it to be uplifting and inspiring and fortifying, to refortify your own commitment to birth a new world.
And free for everyone. So please just take the time to sign up. We hope you will be there. Last year, there was over 300,000 people that participated in the summit. I would like to see that easy doubly or triple this year, for the simple purpose that, what the world that Neale was just talking about. And that's the chaos that we can all begin to heal, and we can show up when we understand our own consciousness. So Neale, thank you, my friend. You know how much I love you. Thank you for doing this and taking the time today. And Peter, you're a gem.
Oh, thank you so much. Neale, I can't thank you enough, my friend.
Yes, you can. Send me a check.
So you a what?
A check.
Check in the mail. Remember the check in the mail.
A check. Of course I will. Of course I will. Neale, it's been a pleasure. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here. You are a rascal. There's no doubt Michael got you down, Pat, and Jacqueline warned me that when we get together, he is going to pull a tail here and there. So be ready. So thank you, sir, for everything that you've done in all of our lives, with your books, with your presentations, with everything that you've done, your documentaries, your everything. I just want to say on behalf of everybody here, we're blessed to know you and blessed to have you with us. So thank you so much for everything. I hope we get a chance to do it again, my friend. That's all I can say. I'll say that out loud. I just hope we get a chance. Everyone, you can go check out Neale, @NealeDonaldWalsch.com. Find out way more information about everything that he has to offer. His latest book, of course, make sure you check that out as well, which is The God Solution. And you can go check that out on Amazon and anywhere else you want to buy great books. Neale Donald Walsch, everybody. Neale, you take good care of yourself, my friend. I hope we see you again. And at the beginning of this, you said, Peter, she said on the phone, treat him well. Did I treat you well, sir? Did she? Is she going to?
What do you think?
Can you check?
Yeah, I agree. Okay. She said you could have done better.
Of course. I can.
Then we got to do a redo, Peter. We just got to do a redo.
Exactly.
Yeah, redo.
We have to do a redo.
Exactly. That's what she said. She said, better luck next time.
I'm going to work on that, Neale. I'm going to work on that. I appreciate that. Hey, everybody, we're going to end the show. Thank you for watching, everybody. We're going to go into your comments and check everything. Thank you for being here. You know how this all ends, everybody. Just be kind out there. I mean, that's all you have to do, everybody. Just be kind out there. Be kind, everybody. Thank you, Neale. We'll see you another time, my friend. And Jacqueline, thank you so much. Take care, everybody. Cheers. You know the drill. Yeah, just be kind out there, everybody. Just be kind. Just be kind out there. I mean, that's all you have to do. Just be kind out there, everybody. Hey, just be kind. It's just be kind out there, everybody. Just be kind. That's all you have to do. Just be kind out there, everybody. Just be kind out there. I mean, that's all you have to do. Just be kind out there. I mean, just be kind out there. Just be kind out there.